about more specific concepts
Please.
that I saw in your what was the class that was on the active self-protection app? Practical Performance?
That's my
Okay.
practical performance class. I think
Yeah,
right
you
now they
guys
only got like 16 parts or something, which is all of day one. Um,
okay.
we John had to rely on himself to do all of the capturing of the video, and
Yeah.
because of that, of course, I guess it's taking a lot longer in editing because he's not a
Oh,
professional videographer.
yeah.
So
He
like
still did a good job though.
he did a great job. So day
Mhm.
2 is in editing now, and that will be released. I'm hoping. I think Neil Widener told me it was going to be just probably another week or so. They're hoping. So
Oh,
yeah, there's a whole day 2, which I'm sure is going to be another 14 or 18 parts or whatever
yeah.
um, to watch
And it's
soon.
deep dive. It's deep dive. Well, maybe not for you, but I mean, you go into detail about things. I'm like, wait a second. I'm like writing it down on my notebook and I'm like, I think this is really good. I think I should be sharing this with people. So I'm going to talk about a few things.
Let's do it.
Okay, so one of the things, and this is all just about grip. I mean, you could do this for literally anything you talked about, but you think grip is simple, and it is sort of. But
You're right.
okay, so let's just dive into it. So the first thing you said that I wrote down was we're using the wrong index point when we're going to the holster. Most people use the web of their hand as their index point going to the holster. So take it
Mhm.
away on that one, Tim, because that's something not everyone has heard before, right?
So it is most. I mean, we've been. I don't say we, but it's been taught that way for ever. When we
Yeah.
access the gun, from the holster, to always like kind of use the web of your hand in this area right here, and you drive it down onto the back strap, and then you kind of slide it up into the top end of the tang or the beaver tail to make sure that
Mhm.
the hand is as high as it can go on the pistol before we grasp the gun and then lift it out of the holster to establish that master grip. um, I'm a little bit different in that the problem with having the web of your hand is that, and I'm going to use my ink pen
Do
here
you
just
have
to,
your blue gun? Oh.
man, I should have, right? So, but anyway, so I'm just going to use an ink pen for this. If I have the web of my hand, I can drive my web of my hand in any direction, right?
Mhm.
On what would be, say, this pen being the pistol. And as soon as I make contact with the web of my hand, we were told that should be enough of an index to then grasp the gun as we need to be able to lift it out of the holster. The problem is though, and I'm going to use this calculator. Actually, I'm going to use my cell phone for this since I didn't bring a book. So we got
I should
we've
have
got
told
the
you.
pistol here. And so let's say the pistol, obviously, if we turn it this way, that's the whole side of the gun. And this side, right, is the back strap. If I index my hand left or right, but I don't get my hand in the proper spot, as soon as
Mhm.
I index the gun with my web of my hand and I grip the gun or I grasp the gun from the holster, I could end up with my entire palm on either side of the gun and not appropriately on the backstrap of the gun to give the support
Mhm.
along the backstrap that I need for good recoil management or good sight presentation or dot presentation. This, in my opinion, is about 90% of the reason why most people, especially when we talk about like red dot pistols, because that's all the rage, right? The last 4 or 5 years, that seems like everybody's teaching a red dot class. And we hear everything from add pinky pressure to make sure your support hand's doing this and make sure you're adding this a little bit of pressure and turn the gun this way and do this and do that, when the majority of issues could be solved by simply indexing your hand to the gun a little bit differently. So instead of
Mhm.
indexing the web of the hand to the tang first, the very first point of contact I want to make on the gun, because it tells me exactly where my hand's going to be, is the base of my palm right down here on the bottom, kind of below the pinky, right down here. So I want the
Mhm.
gun to situate itself in the hand, utilizing the entire palm itself, not just kind of the
Mhm.
drumstick portion at the base of the thumb, because that
Mhm.
leaves so much exposed backstrap on the back of the gun that you're going to fight and fight and fight recoil. And of course, that turns into another problem. And that problem is, as the gun continues to move, we then try to rely on strength versus technique to try to control what the gun's going to do. And that strength then manifests itself into, now we have a limited amount of trigger control because our entire dominant hand is now fighting for, again, for strength or dominance or control on the pistol. So we lose the ability for our index finger to manipulate the trigger in isolation.